Obviously, I missed the last 2 weeks. We're at the conference. Got there in North Carolina for a week, and that went good. I do have handout that one of the sessions I went to that the guy went over about the Word 2016 test, and it's sitting in my email somewhere, at least supposed to be. If it's not, I'm in trouble. And once I find that back in there again, then one day, let's go through it, because he went through and hit the highlights of what was on the Word 2016 MOS test. So actually I went to his session Tuesday afternoon, and then Wednesday morning I actually went back to it, because with the sessions they had that were available at the couple of times I could go, because I was teaching 2 sessions too. That when I looked at what all was available, I went, well, that was the only one that really interested me right there. So I was going to go take it like at 11 o'clock that morning, so I went back and went, I'm going to go sit back through the first half of his session, because he actually did, there's 2 Word 2016 exams. There's a core exam and there's a expert exam. The expert one gets into setting up stuff a lot more and such, and that I really didn't, when he'd gone through that stuff, I went, I really don't know that stuff very well, because I don't do that stuff. There were several things he hit in the core one, though, that I went, whoa, I've never done that, but I saw how he did it, and I was going to make sense. So I went, I'm going to go just sit back through him for a little bit before I go to take my test, which was going to be in part way through the session anyway. So that's what I did again that day, sat through the first little bit of it, and then went down, took the test, and passed the test with, I think it was 871 was my score on it. 700's passing, but 0 to 1,000. Okay, so it's basically 70% passing, and basically I had an 87 on the exam, except they put it in hundreds instead of tens. Because there were several little things on it that I wasn't aware on, and then when I got in there, I confused myself a little bit when I sat and looked at a couple of questions, but the stuff he had shown in his handout and stuff was exactly the same type of things that was on there. And then in the midst of it, with a few surprises, I got myself mixed a little bit, but that didn't make any difference. Because your whole secret, if you take the certification test, is it's not how big of a score you make on it, it's do you have a passing score or not. Because as long as you got a passing score, you get certified. And there is no difference in the certification whether you made a 70 on it or you made 100 on it. Okay? I'm not even sure if it currently shows on your transcript out there at Certiport with what your score was or not. Don't remember if it does or not. I haven't gone out and looked at mine on this one. Sometimes they've had them show, sometimes they didn't have them show. They've been tending to stay away from that for a little while now. So I want to walk through that one with y'all one day and just show you the things he showed, and that he's got a whole bunch of screen prints in his PowerPoint, and that we can go through and you can see exactly where the things are he's talking about, and I'll tell you on them that yes, I did see that on the test, no I didn't, and he had actually taken the test like a week before that. So besides being one that trains people for taking the test, he went and took the test just before it. So he definitely had a good idea on it. There was he said there would be 5 problems on it with 5 to 7 questions on them each, I think it was. I had 7 problems on mine that had basically 5 questions on each one. And so you had to go in and do stuff in there. That's the nice thing about the MOS exams, is you're actually doing it. You're not just answering a multiple choice question about it. It is, all right, you're in this document, and we want you to find all occurrences of such and such. And your job is to figure out how to find them all. Or change the third word in the headline from this word to this word and make it purple, bold it. And that's exactly what they're looking for you to do, is to actually do it. Not find the answer that tells about how to do it, but can you actually do it? So you're actually working in Word doing it. So everybody follow on that? Other certification exams you take, you're answering questions about how do you do this stuff, and you may or may not really know how to do it. On the MOS ones, you got to know what you're doing. And then they only give you like an hour to answer those 35 or so questions. So I think I had 5 minutes to spare, and actually first couple of questions I suddenly got myself mixed up some going in, and then I got going after that. And so when I got down to the end, I went back and hit those beginning questions again and got a little bit more on that, and I had like 5 minutes to spare on the test. But I wasn't trying to speed through or anything. That was just the pace it worked on, and I had, of the 60 minutes or whatever it was it gave me, or close to an hour, that I had like 5 minutes left over on it. So we'll do that one day. And so then, no, I didn't pass everything I took. I went and took a Photoshop Creative Cloud exam, which I have never used Photoshop Creative Cloud. I've used Photoshop's CS5 all the time now. I've used 6 a few times, but I've never used the cloud version. But they had, I could take these tests for free, so I went and took that one just to see what in the world happened. And there were some odd things on layers on Photoshop that just blew my mind when I looked at them, and I couldn't figure out what in the world they were talking about. And so that one I made a 471 on. But considering I have not used that version on the software, making a 50 on the certification test on it, I didn't think was too bad at all anyway. So I was satisfied. It would have been neat to have gotten it. A couple of years ago, I got Photoshop CS4 certified, I think it was. But I had been using it when I walked in and took the test. And so I knew where things were laid out on there, but they were asking some questions about how you layered some things that I'm going, never heard of this, and I'd look around and couldn't find anything to do with what they were saying. A lot of the other questions, look at it and go, haven't done that, but here, I see where it is, and I did it. And obviously I got about half of them correct to get 471 or something like that on that test. Nothing other than time on my part, nothing invested in it, so that wasn't too bad. So I'll take one of those sometimes. That just doesn't make any difference, because they'll let us have some free tests with these things sometimes. So I am Word 2016 certified. Okay. So when I taught it in here, I really do know what I was talking about. I've now got, I will have a piece of paper to say that at some point whenever it shows up, or that I go ahead and print it out. I think I have to print it out, but I haven't gone on there to get on. When I left North Carolina after the conference ended on Thursday morning, when we went up through lunchtime, and it was a good conference. There was a lot of things I learned, met a number of people, exchanged a lot of information with some, got people that were vendors there, said they want to come to my conference. So I did that. So I was campaigning during the week too. It is 602 miles from Lafayette to New Bern. I did find that one out on that Sunday afternoon. That's when I left here that Sunday morning and got there. My speedometer said I'd gone 602 miles to the hotel. That was a little further than I thought it was going to be, but that was okay. Got there at a reasonable time too. Did real good time across there, so that worked nicely. When I left the conference, I then went downtown, went to the Pepsi birthplace, visited it for about 30-45 minutes, and had some fun in there. It's just the drugstore building that the guy ran that invented Pepsi, and the little soda shop right there that they'll sell you a Pepsi or several other Pepsi type drinks, and the little small tables and stuff sitting around in there, and then they got lots of different Pepsi souvenirs for sale. And then they've got the little building next door to it that they've taken over, and they've got some historical things in there. If you've been to World of Coke, it is real small compared to World of Coke. Okay, it's nothing like that. But it's got they show you some historical different things, and I've got a few things in there on it and such. Which made it interesting to go through there. There was only a couple of people in there when I walked in there. And the lady that was behind the counter serving the drinks, that she asked this other couple that was already in there, when they went to hold up the phone to do a selfie, she said, "You want me to take a picture of you?" And they went, "Yes." So she came out from behind the counter, took a picture of them. And I was standing over there going to take a picture of Pepsi. Actually lists all the ingredients of Pepsi on the wall there. Coca-Cola, remember, that's top secret information. So I was taking a picture of that, and she said, "Do you want me to get a picture of you?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Okay." So she took a picture of me with the ingredients behind me of how many pounds of sugar and everything else that you put together to make Pepsi. And then she said, "You want to get behind the counter and I'll take a picture of you serving Pepsi." I went, "Okay." So you can tell how slow things were on Thursday after lunch there in downtown New Bern. That when she tells you, "Get behind the counter, I'll get your picture behind the counter," and you look like you're serving Pepsis back there. So we had a little bit of fun on that. Got that done, and I left. And just in case, for those of you that may not know on me, I'm a big Coke person, okay? So in turn, I put it out there on Facebook and put about that I'd been caught in enemy territory. And that they've got a new kind of Pepsi coming out now that they've only had a short time, and so I drank one of those that was a Caleb Cola, which was pretty good. Actually, it's pretty close to a Coke, to tell you the truth, which the lady said too on it. It tastes much more like Coke than it does Pepsi, but supposedly Pepsi's worked on coming up with the perfect cola now for several years, and they were selling it in their little brown bottle there. I left there, headed back across the state and went to my uncle's in South Carolina. Spent the night there, and that's when the flu started to hit me. Because during the night I suddenly woke up with a little sore spot on my throat, and then I got tired from that point on. And everything went downhill from there, and I got back here. And by Saturday night late, and I was dead. Because when I walked in the house at 10 o'clock Saturday night after driving back from Greenville, South Carolina, I walked in, brought my bag of stuff in, set it down, and went straight to bed and didn't even bother anything else. Didn't know what had gone on in the house for the last week or anything. It was just there that I managed to make a trail through it. and spent most of last week in bed until Thursday night. Almost exactly 1 week after I started getting the flu. And when I'd gone to the doctor on Tuesday, saw the nurse and she checked me out and she said he'd be in to see me in a few minutes. And then she came back in after a couple minutes. She said, he wants you checked for the flu. And I went, okay. So when he came in, he said, yep, you got the flu and you got the bad kind. And there's where I was. And there's not much you can do on flu. He put me on Tamiflu, but you're supposed to take that in the first 48 hours. Tuesday after Thursday is not within 48 hours, if y'all add numbers together there. So he put me on it anyway, but I don't think it made any difference. But Thursday night then, I was laying in bed and all of a sudden I went, ooh, I'm starting to feel better. And after about 5 minutes, almost all of the flu stuff got up and left me. And I felt decent other than I was tired, and I'm still tired. And my sinuses opened up some at that point and have drained since on my throat. And I'm still fighting that part. And I just didn't eat at all week hardly. And I still haven't eaten much, so I am weak. So hopefully we'll make it through this week. I've got classes Monday through Thursday this week, so I should be here every day. We've got registration this week, which I had to figure out a schedule for that while I was out. And if any of you checked your email this morning, know that apparently the schedule is getting goofed up good, because I have sent it out like twice this morning. Because when I got here to school and went to print it out, and I looked at it and I went, and there's one from Walker and one for Catoosa, and I looked at it and I went, it says Walker, but this obviously is Catoosa's schedule because it had Walker filling in the spots where I'd be on Walker. I looked at the other one and I went, nope, they're mixed up. So then I straightened that out, sent them out to y'all again this morning saying where I would be on each. And still something was goofed up, because then I looked at it as somebody had said, put them down on it, and I looked at it and I went, that doesn't work, and I still had to fix it one more try and send it out again. Because this bit of all of these classes I'm teaching, plus being on 2 campuses, and supposed to register students on both campuses, has just confused everything. And then I've got wiring from in the Cisco class. Those students are supposed to be doing that. They were supposed to be doing it last week, which would have worked. But since I was out all last week, that meant that didn't get done, so they're going to have to do it around me registering, and that just sort of goofed everything and mixed it all up, I think. So hopefully I'll be where I'm supposed to be every day. So I'm supposed to work till 7 tonight and tomorrow night. Really need shorter days for a couple of days to still rest, but that's not the way it works. So I'll take care of those. And then Thursday, I'm hoping I'll be running good strength, because I want to take a painting class at 6 Calvary Museum that night that I've been saying I wanted to do for several months, and every month that when they have it, something to be busy, and I finally figured I could make it this Thursday. And now all of this, and then Friday morning at 8 o'clock, I've got to be in Atlanta, at Atlanta Tech, which is right there by downtown, for Skills USA. So after I do that class Thursday night, I said I'm going to still do that after they put me in charge of the programming contest down there. I said, and the secretary over at Walker had made a hotel reservation for me, so I'm going to drive on down Thursday evening and then get up in the morning and go do that all day Friday. And then maybe things will slow down after that, because then guess what y'all will be doing after Friday? Y'all got a break. Okay? So hopefully that'll slow down a little for me too. So we've got now, we're through Excel at this point that we're supposed to, is turning in today. Access is next. There's not much on Access for you. So you've got 2 chapters on Access, and then we'll come back and do PowerPoint. Access is probably going to be the one that'll be the most confusing, and you'll find the most hard of all the stuff you're going to do in here. Okay? I'll go ahead and just put it that way at you. Access is also the one thing of all the things you're going to learn in here that you'll probably never use. Okay? But people think that everybody ought to be trained on database. And most people never use the database for the database. Access, the other part is on Access. It is not part of Office that you get for free. However, you get it for free anyway. You're going to have to download it separately. Okay? Access is available through Microsoft Imagine / DreamSpark that I sent you information on at the beginning of the semester, and we talked about it briefly at the beginning of the semester. Access 2016 is available out there for y'all free. So you can go out and download it from there. I believe it's an executable file if I remember right. Pretty sure of that. So if you download it, you can just run it and it'll install it from that file you downloaded. Try to look at that on Wednesday on it. But you're just going to do a real simple little database of build something and see how to print something out of it, but not do anything real fancy. The object of databases is where you can keep gobs of information. And it all is kept organized out there. You can go in and grab it any way you want to get all kinds of reports out of it. The student record system here at the college is kept in a database. And we can go in and grab information in all kinds of ways all the time because it's in a database. So it'll make it easy to get the information back out of there, but it really gets complicated how it is out there. And Access is a personal version of a database system. Now, student record systems using Oracle, which is a very professional, big product out there. It actually costs thousands and thousands of dollars. So, main thing is just catch a little bit off of the Access, but don't bog yourself down in the Access. Because for most students, you're going to sit there and go, I don't know what I'd do with this or why I'd ever use it. Word, you could see what you can use that for if you weren't already using it. Excel, you could see things to do in it. For instance, when I go to do my taxes later this week, I meant to do last week, but that didn't happen. I will do a table out there with all my deductions, and I'll put each deduction in a different column and put all the amounts down, and then let it total them up, and then I'll just copy those figures out of there into TurboTax. So you can see with Excel some things you can do with it. PowerPoint, y'all can all see things to do with it if you haven't already used on it. That's just going to use your presentation software to you. So that one gets back to interesting on it, to finishing us up on it. Okay? Questions on all of that? So, but like I say, don't let Access get to you. Because you can, I've watched Access scare more students and give them more problems because they let it get bigger than what it was. Keep it down small. If you can't really get it, just do the essentials. You know how to follow directions in SimNet at this point now. So even if you don't understand what you're doing on it, you know at this point how in the world to go in and do what it is they want you to do, even if you don't know why you're doing whatever you're doing, and y'all can do the bare essentials for it. Now I say with Access, for almost every one of you probably, you're not going to ever do anything with it again. Okay? So if you don't pick up stuff on it, you're not hurting yourself at all. Word, there was stuff, hopefully you all picked up stuff in there that you can do, and then when I go over the review on the CERT exam, that you'll see some other interesting things you can do. Excel the same way, and PowerPoint the same way. But we can use those all the time in regular life. Okay? Questions on those?
Not specifically on that, but on that midterm thing, I seen something about a midterm test. Is there on one? I think I looked in the in announcements. It said something about a midterm. Did we have a midterm test?
Only thing you should have seen anything.
I didn't know how to do it, but anyway, I still wanted to know what
I
it
don't
was.
think so. Let me look and see something, because you may be talking about something else right here. All right. Is that the
Yeah.
midterm when you? That's not a test.
Okay.
Okay. You got sent a couple of weeks ago. You got an email.
Yeah, I was out of order. I didn't.
You got an email from me. If you'll go back and look and see, there's an email you got that said work ethics. And it had an attached sheet with it that told you what your work ethics grade is at mid-semester. What you need to do, go back and look at it and make sure you understand what grade you were getting. And that's just the midterm of work ethics. Okay? Then go in there and just put a comment in there that says you saw your work ethics grade. Okay? That's all that is. It's not, doesn't count as a grade on the class or anything, but remember in here, you're going to get 2 grades out of the class. Okay? Because this class still has work ethics in it. So you're going to get the academic grade, which is based on all of that other stuff, and hopefully that now, as soon as I get a little more strength back, to get going on it, because I'm behind on some, although I got caught up some on grading last week. I did do some of that. I tried to do stuff, and most days I did do a good bit of work. Hopefully that I'll get in there and set your averaging correct on the grades, and that then you can see what your grade actually is at this point, instead of where it's just some random number sitting out there. Okay? But you'll get that academic grade. That'll be the A, B, C, D, or F. Hopefully nobody gets the bottom of those grades. And then you'll get a number grade with it of a 0, 1, 2, or 3. I didn't remember what they were. With 2 being average, 3 being that you were above average on work ethics, and 1 being you're below, and 0 said you didn't meet it at all. And that at the end of the semester, I will give you that sheet back again with what your final work ethics grade is.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you that.
And that's purely a subjective thing.
When I was trying to catch up my work, some of the stuff that I submitted didn't give me a grade at all. It didn't say, it gave me the check marks, but it didn't give me the grading, I guess.
Okay, you said it gave you a check mark on it?
Yeah, but it usually give you a number of, or something. Do y'all guys know what I'm saying? They might can explain it better. Like when you finish a lesson,
Mm-hmm.
they'll give you a check mark. Then some of it has where you, when you finish it, it'll give you a number out of what you done. But I didn't see where, some of them said I had none. It had none on all of them, but it had check marks.
It should be showing on it. Is that when you're looking just out at SimNet, or is that when you're looking back in Blackboard?
In Blackboard, I think. Or
Because
I'm not sure. I don't know how to talk about it.
it may be, because if you were behind on it, it may be a little slow on it doing its updates across from SimNet to Blackboard. Because sometimes it cannot act odd on that once it's already put an update out there. And that's the other part I'm weary on putting percentages out there yet, because if I tell it to manually update, sync everybody's grades, it will proceed to wipe out all of my settings that I put in there, where I group everything. and then I have to go back through and group everything all over again. So I'm a little slow on trying to do that one because I don't want to sit out there and put every assignment and test according to the category it belongs in, and then need to hit the sync button again, and it proceed to wipe out every bit of that work I just done.
Just as long as I know that I finished it for the most part.
So hopefully double check it in Blackboard and see if by chance it picks it up.
Okay.
As we get closer on down to the end, we may have to look further at it. But let's just give it some time to play with itself for a little bit. When we get down to the last couple of weeks, though, if it's not putting it in Blackboard like it should, then I need to know on that so I can see what I got to do to get it corrected.
Yeah, because I am still a little bit behind because of the...
So, but like I say, it's... When people are initially doing it, clicking right along together, it seems to sync pretty well on it. But then when people get scattered some and some are further behind the others, it doesn't seem to always want to sync correctly always on that.
It's like on that work ethic thing, there was only like, I think Eli was the only one that had posted something where I could respond to. On work ethic,
On the
I think it was either 2 or 3.
in the discussion board thing?
And then it says to email one of your classmates.
Mhm.
I think he was the only one that had turned one in on one of them.
So, do the best you can on those. If y'all haven't done them, do them. And I'm aware on when I do look at those, that I'm aware of what's going on there too, because I'll see that nobody else has posted or whatever.
Okay.
And that if nobody else has posted, there's not anything you can respond to.
Right.
Okay, so, and I have not even looked at that type of stuff in here, because in your class, I think everything's pretty well set out there. Yeah, y'all see those. That's CIST 1001 class that I just picked up 3 weeks ago. I'm still setting up their assignments because the way the others at the other campus had it set up, I didn't like at all. If you read the online book, they count that as a lab exercise. And I'm going, reading the book is not lab. But they count it as lab and mark it in there that the students did a lab. And I'm going, that's not lab. Yeah, I could have left it as is because somebody else had done that, and I'm going, I don't like that, and so I'm pulling that, and then I'm changing what they had called quiz to that it's actually lab, because they actually had them going through and asking different questions about how some different things work. I went, that'll work as lab. And then they had a test over every 2 chapters, and I'm going, should be one over every chapter in that course. And they only had like 5 questions on the test, and I'm going, there needs to be 20 questions on the test, because 5 questions on a test, you goof 1 question up, you just goofed yourself up on the test. You need to have enough questions where you can miss a question and still get a decent grade, because all of us make a mistake somewhere along the way. Well, except for maybe a couple of y'all in here that have not figured out yet how to make a mistake. But the rest of us are notorious on making mistakes occasionally. Okay? So, I'm still trying to get theirs set up. I've got it set up through this week. Actually, it's through next week because next week's holiday. But I've got to get done before that following Monday when classes start back. I got to get their next week's assignments posted out there and change the stuff. And because I haven't had the time to do it all at one time, every time I go back in, I did it there Monday when I was sitting in North Carolina, figured it out again about it's not simple, just go in and click on it and do it. You got to go through about 4 steps to change anything and find where you can change it to the correct thing. And then when I don't do it then for a week or so, guess what happens? I forget what the steps are. And I have to sit there and battle it around for a few minutes. Remember, okay, this is how I do this. And then that I'm still got in a couple of other classes that I've got to get theirs averaging on out. The students that are in my repair class for next hour, I've got to start transferring their grades. I actually transferred a couple of their grades. And in my Cisco classes, I've got to get to transferring all of their grades because I have to manually do that. And I hope to get going on that this week. And I really don't want to be using next week all week working on school stuff. I really want to take a little bit of a break away just for myself. Now, agreed, when I went to North Carolina, I did squeeze in that one afternoon. But after 600-mile drive up there on Sunday, I spent all day Sunday driving. And then I drove halfway back on Thursday and the rest of the way back on Friday, back over to here. Those basically were too full because we had conference halfway through the day anyway on Thursday. So then when I drove on and got to my uncle's like at 9 o'clock at night or something, that then when I came on back in from there with the 5 hours or so, I'd already worked more than a full day the day before, and I was on, if y'all noticed, every day while I was gone, I was online with y'all every day. And some of the days were full. Tuesday, we went from conference starting at 8 in the morning until we went to like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Went back to the motel, which was about 10 minutes away from the school. And then at 5 o'clock, we went downtown to the downtown hotel. And they had a nice little dinner and dance for us that evening, and course technology gave us a bunch of stuff, and we're all standing around the sales reps and everything talking with us about their stuff and everything. So it was a business meeting still, even though it was a dinner dance to it. It was a nice dinner. And then even though it was a dance with it, that we were really working throughout it also, and you're sitting there talking with other people you knew about school stuff and how to teach stuff better. So that made for a full day that day. And even like Wednesday night, that there was a school up there in Statesville, North Carolina, that then most people went out to eat on Wednesday night, and I was by myself up there, remember? Because I was the only one from Georgia there. Well, I wasn't the only one. There was a lady from Atlanta there too. And that she and I knew each other. That she flew in up there, and so she ended up, every time she'd go to the motel or back, she was catching a ride with me back and forth from the school to the motel, since I had car with me. So, but I went out to eat with the group from Statesville because I stopped them and I talked with them a little bit, different ones of them. And said, where are y'all going to eat tonight? And they said, well, we got a 10% discount for this restaurant downtown tonight. I don't know what it's like, but it's a seafood restaurant. We think we're going to go eat there. You want to join us? And I said, yeah, I'll eat. And it was good food. So we went and ate down there. So it was an interesting week. So I gained stuff, and that was the whole object of the thing, is to gain some more information and know stuff better. So. And I think I really did that. It was worth the trip on it.